Thanks for tuning in to the Spec Designs podcast. Today we will be discussing a recent blog post by our friend Cecelia Johnson, a constant guest writer for Spec Designs.
It's great to dive back into Cecilia's insights. This post, which came out November 26, 2025, it couldn't be more relevant right now. It's titled, Adapting to Economic Shifts, a Local Business Survival Blueprint.
That blueprint is exactly what so many local entrepreneurs are looking for. So I guess our goal today is to really analyze how local businesses can manage that tightrope walk, balancing resilience, just plain surviving with actual reinvention.
With positioning for growth.
Yeah.
Especially when the market is throwing all these curveballs. You've got inflation, you've got supply chains that are still a mess, or just consumer habits changing practically overnight.
Exactly. And Cecilia's central philosophy is it's both challenging and really refreshing.
It is. She basically says adaptability beats predictability every single time. If you can't accurately guess what the next 6 months look like, then your power shifts. It's not about trying to predict the future.
It's about being flexible enough to pivot on a dime.
That's it. And that's really the core of the whole blog.
Right. And what we really pulled from it is that this flexibility is built on three pillars.
Yeah.
Community collaboration, getting total financial clarity, and then smart strategic diversification.
Yeah, that's the core insight. She argues that real resilience isn't just about having a huge savings account anymore. It's about building flexibility right into your model, your operations, your brand, your team. That's how you absorb the shocks and respond with agility.
So that flexibility, that's the new essential asset.
It's the new currency.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with our first big theme, the local business superpower. What exactly does Cecelia identify as the main advantage for local businesses?
She calls it the local advantage.
Yeah.
And the superpower is it's their proximity, it's being close to the people and having their finger right on the neighborhood pulse. I mean, think about it this way. A national chain is like a massive, slow-turning oil tanker. But a local business, that's a speedboat. They can spot an opportunity or a hazard and turn the wheel almost instantly.
Without needing approval from some headquarters 1,000 miles away.
Exactly. They're living and breathing the same changes as their customers.
That makes perfect sense. And she breaks the superpower down into three specific benefits, right? The first one being community trust.
Yes, and this is all about relationship equity. Community trust is the foundation for intensely loyal customers. The blog gives an example of hosting neighborhood pop-ups, but it's more than that.
Right.
It's being able to sponsor the local school team or just being that recognizable face behind the counter. That relationship signals investment, stability, and people will pay a premium for that sense of connection.
And the second benefit she talks about is the speed of adaptation. This is where that speedboat analogy really shines.
Absolutely. If a local competitor closes down, or, say, the cost of a key ingredient spikes, the local owner can respond fast. They can change their inventory, adjust pricing, even switch up their delivery options in a single afternoon. That speed prevents you from bleeding margin when things get volatile.
And the third benefit, Cecelia notes, personalized service.
This drives retention directly. You're not just offering some generic sale that everyone gets. You're creating loyalty programs, maybe a tiered membership or special access, that are tied directly to what your existing customers actually value.
A level of personal engagement that a big box store just can't replicate.
Not authentically, no.
So if I'm a local business owner listening to this and I want to lean into that advantage, what resources does the blog suggest for staying ahead of those local shifts?
You have to be where the local conversations are happening online. She specifically mentioned 3 tools for real-time local intelligence: Shopify's Local Insights, your Google Business Profile, and Nextdoor for business.
Nextdoor seems really key there. It's incredibly powerful. It's basically a localized digital bulletin board where your neighbors are sharing recommendations and grievances. You can track exactly what people in your radius are talking about and what they want.
Okay, that moves us nicely into the next section, the stability checklist. And this isn't just theory, right? This is the practical 7-point plan for securing your base when the ground starts shaking.
This is so critical. You have to strengthen your operations before the instability really hits. If your house is already unsteady, the first gust of wind is going to knock it down. Let's run through these because each one is about building that structural durability.
Starting with what seems like the most important defense, diversifying revenue.
Correct. Relying on a single income stream is It's an existential vulnerability. Diversification means adding options. Maybe you launch a subscription box, or you start offering catering, or you implement a really robust local delivery system.
So if foot traffic drops by, say, 30%, you're not in crisis mode.
Exactly. Those other channels keep you afloat. Okay, next on the list is the mandated quarterly expense audit.
And Cecelia doesn't just suggest cutting costs. She mandates clarity. Auditing expenses every quarter means you systematically get rid of what's unproductive. Do you really need 3 different software subscriptions that all do the same thing? Are you over-ordering perishable stock?
You have to know where every dollar is leaking before you pull the big, drastic levers.
That's it. And what about managing relationships with suppliers?
Negotiating vendor terms.
Yes. And this is another place to leverage that local advantage. Your local suppliers often have way more flexibility than some international chain. You shouldn't be afraid to ask for net 60 payment terms instead of net 30, or to discuss bulk pricing. Those relationships buy you critical cash flow.
And pricing, which is such a psychological tightrope during inflation.
It is, but you have to revisit your pricing models. You can't just raise prices randomly, but you absolutely cannot absorb all the inflation yourself. If you bleed margin because your price list is 6 months out of date, you won't last long enough to see the recovery.
Number 5 on her list is digital visibility.
This is non-negotiable. When budgets get tight, people research their purchases more. You need to show up first. This means investing in your Google Maps presence, keeping your review platforms active, and focusing on local SEO.
So when someone in your neighborhood searches best coffee shop open late, you're at the very top of their map.
You have to be.
And the financial safety net itself, cash reserves.
The goal, Cecelia stresses, is to build up cash reserves equal to at least 3 months of operating expenses. That's your panic buffer. That money buys you the time to make these strategic changes without getting desperate.
And finally, it all comes back to loyalty.
Strengthening customer loyalty through email, membership rewards, referral programs. We've said it before, but it's worth repeating. Retention is cheaper and way more reliable than acquisition, especially when consumer confidence is low.
And for anyone listening who needs a place to start with all this tracking, the blog spotlights Square's Financial Health Toolkit.
Yeah, it's a great starting point for simple budgeting templates. It's very approachable.
Okay, let's move beyond the operational checklists. Let's talk about the intangibles that provide stability in the eyes of a customer. Things like trust, branding, and knowledge.
When customers are nervous about where they spend their money, they gravitate towards what feels stable. A cohesive, consistent brand presence inspires that kind of confidence. If your signage, your website, your social media, if it all looks and sounds like it belongs to the same strong, well-run company, customers feel safer.
And this is where the blog brings up the need for professional design, especially during a transition.
Right. It specifically notes how spec designs helps local companies turn that transition into an opportunity. When you're pivoting your whole service model, your brand messaging has to be clearer than ever.
So things like a professional website redesign, a logo update, consistent promotional materials, it all signals clarity.
Exactly. You can't look disorganized when the market itself is demanding organization.
And beyond that external image, agility is also built internally, through education. The most adaptive business owners are always the ones who keep learning.
This is a huge mindset shift. Leaders who invest in actually understanding finance, operations, organizational strategy, they're positioned to anticipate problems instead of just reacting to crises.
They see the data points forming the trend, not just the trend hitting them over the head.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it.
So what are the suggested ways to do that? It sounds like more than just reading an article here and there.
Oh, it is. She suggests things like pursuing continuing education classes, specialized weekend workshops, or even formalizing that knowledge by earning a degree in business administration. The whole idea is to enhance that systematic strategic thinking you need to manage complexity.
Right. That kind of investment in your own intellectual capital pays off hugely down the line. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Section 4 has a really powerful thesis. When budgets shrink, collaboration should always outperform competition.
It's just smart, sustainable survival. When you form these community alliances, businesses can cross-promote services and, crucially, share some of their fixed operating costs. It's like the local commerce ecosystem optimizing itself for the collective good.
And Cecelia gives some fantastic collaborative wins examples of this in action.
Yeah, think about shared resources. A local bakery and a cafe. Maybe one is slammed in the morning, the other in the afternoon. They could agree to share outdoor seating space,
Uh,
or even cross-train and share staff schedules during off-peak hours to manage labor costs.
or independent retailers banding together.
Exactly. Running a joint Shop Local Week campaign, they can pool their marketing funds to afford a big, coordinated digital ad push that none of them could afford alone, or service providers bundling their offers.
Like a salon and a boutique creating a combined self-care pass.
Yes, it drives traffic to both locations. It's a win-win.
Those scenarios are just so critical for keeping dollars local. What resources does she mention for coordinating these kinds of efforts?
For the big picture neighborhood stuff, the blog mentions Main Street America, which focuses on local revitalization. For co-hosting events, Eventbrite for Business is pretty much the standard. And for making sure the marketing materials look good, Canva's Brand Kit is great for creating co-branded materials easily.
Okay, now let's move to the last big section, which reviews the blog's FAQ. These feel like the sharp, high-impact answers to the most common anxieties during a downturn.
Let's start with the most immediate threat. Question number 1. What is the very first thing you do when sales drop unexpectedly?
And the strategy is deliberate. Diagnose before you react.
You have to resist that urge to panic. Before you slash your marketing budget or lay off staff, you need forensic clarity. Review your expense reports, check which products are still top sellers, and scrutinize your customer data to pinpoint exactly where the slowdown is coming from.
Is it a specific demographic? Is a competitor offering something you're not?
Right. If you react to a general fear instead of a specific data point, you might end up solving the wrong problem.
Okay, question number 2 is probably the hardest decision any small business owner has to make. Should I cut staff?
And this is where the long-term perspective is so important. The blog advises against rushing straight to layoffs, because retaining that institutional knowledge is incredibly valuable. When the recovery starts, your competitors who slashed their trained staff are going to be scrambling to rehire and retrain.
So the recommendation is to be flexible first. Cross-train employees, maybe reduce hours.
Reduce hours, exactly. Do that before you resort to permanent cuts.
That really speaks to the value of human capital. Okay, finally, question number 4 gets at where to put your money. What's the safest investment during an uncertain economy?
And the finding here is so clear. The highest ROI, your return on investment, comes from strengthening the customer relationships you already have. Focus on retention. During volatility, chasing new leads is expensive and it's risky.
But investing in making your existing loyal customers happier and making sure they come back.
That is the safest, most reliable bet you can make.
And to help business owners get that clarity and manage cash flow, the blog highlights one more key financial tool.
Yes, FreshBooks Cloud Accounting. It's especially good for small business owners because it just simplifies everything. Invoicing, tracking expenses, and it gives you a real-time, clear picture of your cash flow. The built-in time tracking is also really useful for service businesses that are adjusting their billable hours.
So bringing Cecelia Johnson's blueprint all together, it really comes back to this core principle of connection.
Absolutely. Local success requires deep, active connection. Connection to your internal numbers, connection to your external neighbors, and connection to your next strategic move. The market is always going to change, but the fundamentals, trust, learning, collaboration, those will always be in demand. Adaptability is not just a trait anymore, it's an asset.
You know, if we expand on that idea we touched on earlier about the value of retaining institutional knowledge, here's a thought for you to consider. Don't just focus on saving money right now. Focus on actively documenting and systematizing the knowledge you are gaining under this pressure.
Oh, that's interesting.
All the new processes, the cost-saving discoveries, the market insights you're being forced to learn. Make sure that wisdom is immediately deployable the moment recovery begins. You can turn your current pain points into standardized operating procedures for future success.
That shifts the whole paradigm. You're not just surviving the challenge, you're capturing the intellectual capital that the challenge forces you to create. That's how you actually future-proof your business.
Thank you for listening to the Spec Designs podcast. Please follow and subscribe and contact Spec Designs with any questions or blog topics that you want to know more about.